The birthday cake was still sitting on the kitchen counter when I found the basement door locked from the outside. It was chocolate with blue frosting, Oliver's favorite. 8 candles, still unlit, waiting for a little boy who should have been blowing them out hours ago. Instead, my son had been missing for 2 days, and his own father was telling me I was overreacting. "He's just hiding somewhere," Marcus said, scrolling through his phone like our 8-year-old disappearing during his own birthday party was perfectly normal. You know how he gets when there are too many people around. But I knew Oliver. He didn't hide during parties. He thrived on attention, loved being the center of the universe for 1 day a year. He'd been planning this party for weeks, asking if we could invite his whole class, if we could get a bounce house, if Grandma Diane would make her special cookies. The party had been at Marcus's childhood home, the sprawling Victorian where his mother Diane still lived with his sister Bethany and her twin boys. It should have been perfect. Oliver loved that house, loved exploring all its secret corners and hidden rooms. That's when I heard it. A faint sound coming from somewhere below my feet. Tapping. Rhythmic, desperate tapping. I followed the sound to the basement door. The heavy wooden door that led to Diane's wine cellar and storage area. The door that now had a shiny new deadbolt installed on the outside. "Oliver?" I called softly. The tapping stopped. Then, so faint I almost missed it. "Mommy?" My blood turned to ice water. I tried the handle. Locked. I pressed my ear to the door. "Oliver, baby, are you okay?" "Mommy, I can't get out. I'm hungry and it's dark and I want to come home." His voice was weak, hoarse. Like he'd been crying for a long time. "I'm going to get you out, okay? Just hold on." I ran upstairs to find Marcus, Diane, and Bethany sitting around the kitchen table, calmly discussing weekend plans like nothing was wrong. "Oliver's in the basement," I said. "The door is locked. From the outside." Diane looked up from her tea. "Oh, that. You locked my son in your basement. He was being disrespectful," she said calmly. "During his own party, no less. Embarrassing the family in front of your friends." I stared at her. "He's 8 years old. Old enough to learn proper behavior," Bethany chimed in. "Boys need discipline. Real discipline. Not the coddling you give him." Marcus nodded. "They're right, Stella. He was acting out, being rude to the other kids. Mom thought some quiet time would help him think about his actions." "Quiet time? He's been down there for 2 days. Has it been that long?" Diane checked her watch like she was tracking a roast in the oven. "Time flies." I couldn't breathe. These people I'd trusted with my child, these people who'd smiled and hugged Oliver and told him how excited they were for his birthday, had locked him in a basement like an animal. "Where's the key?" "He'll come out when he's ready to apologize," Diane said. "Where's the fucking key?" Marcus slammed his hand on the table. "Do not speak to my mother that way." I looked at my husband, the man I'd been married to for 9 years, the man who'd held Oliver as a baby and taught him to ride a bike, and realized I didn't know him at all. "Your mother locked our son in a basement for 2 days without food or water. She's teaching him respect. She's torturing him." "You're being dramatic," Bethany said. "We all spent time in that basement as kids. Builds character." That's when I understood. This wasn't discipline. This was tradition. This was how the Morrison family had been raising children for generations. And they thought it was normal. I walked to the kitchen counter, picked up the biggest knife from the block, and headed back toward the basement. "Stella, what are you doing?" Marcus called after me. "Getting my son." I wedged the knife between the door and the frame, right at the lock mechanism. The wood was old, soft. It took about 30 seconds to pop the deadbolt. The basement was pitch black and smelled like mold and urine. I fumbled for the light switch. Oliver was huddled in the far corner, sitting on the concrete floor in the same clothes he'd worn to his party. His face was streaked with tears and dirt. He looked up at me with hollow eyes. "Mommy." I ran to him, scooped him up in my arms. He was so light, too light. His lips were cracked, his skin clammy. "I'm sorry I was bad," he whispered. "I'll be good now. I promise I'll be good. You weren't bad, baby. You were never bad." I carried him upstairs. Marcus, Diane, and Bethany were waiting in the kitchen, looking annoyed that I'd ruined their lesson. "He needs to apologize," Diane said. "He called Jeremy's mother stupid when she told him to share his toys." "He's 8, I said again. 8-year-olds say stupid things. You don't lock them in basements." "Well, how else will he learn?" I looked at these people, really looked at them. Diane with her perfect makeup and cold eyes. Bethany with her smug smile. Marcus with his weak chin and weaker spine. He won't be learning anything from you ever again. I took Oliver to the emergency room. Dehydration, mild malnutrition, psychological trauma. The doctor asked questions I answered honestly. A social worker made notes I hoped would matter. But I didn't call the police. Not yet. Because I'd remembered something Diane had mentioned months ago, something that hadn't seemed important at the time. She was updating her will. The Morrison family had money. Old money. Diane's grandfather had built a shipping empire in the 1920s that the family still controlled. When Diane died, everything would go to Marcus and Bethany equally. Everything except the trust fund she'd established for Oliver. See, despite their discipline, despite their obvious disdain for my parenting, the Morrisons loved appearing to be the perfect family. And part of that perfect family image included doting on their only grandchild. 3 months ago, Diane had set up a college fund for Oliver. $2 million to be released when he turned 18. She'd made a big show of it, invited the whole extended family, had photos taken for the society pages. What she didn't know was that I'd been documenting everything since Oliver was born. Every snide comment about my parenting. Every time they'd corrected Oliver for being too loud or too energetic or too much like a normal child. Every instance of their bizarre punishments. The time they made him stand in the corner for 3 hours because he'd asked for seconds at dinner. The time they'd thrown away his Halloween candy because sugar makes children unruly. I'd written it all down, saved screenshots of text messages, recorded conversations on my phone when they thought I wasn't paying attention. And now I had medical records documenting what they'd done to him during his birthday party. I called Diane's lawyer first. Mrs. Morrison? This is Stella Morrison, Diane's daughter-in-law. I need to schedule a meeting regarding Oliver's trust fund. Of course. Is there a problem? Yes. There's a very big problem. I sent him everything. The medical records, the hospital photos of Oliver's condition, the documentation I'd been keeping for 8 years. My lawyer, a woman who specialized in family law and child advocacy, prepared a detailed report about the Morrison family's pattern of emotional and physical abuse. Then I waited. The meeting was scheduled for a Tuesday morning. I didn't tell Marcus or his family I was going. I just showed up at the lawyer's office with my documentation and a very simple request. I wanted Oliver removed from the will entirely. Mrs. Morrison, the lawyer said carefully, if you remove Oliver from the trust, he won't receive his inheritance. That's fine, but it's $2 million. Blood money isn't worth my son's safety. He looked confused. I'm not sure I understand. As long as Oliver stands to inherit money from that family, they'll use it as leverage to maintain contact with him. They'll fight for visitation rights, custody arrangements, anything that gives them access to him. I slid the medical report across his desk. They locked an 8-year-old child in a basement for 36 hours. No food, no water, no bathroom. During his birthday party. Because he said something rude to another parent. The lawyer read in silence. His face grew paler with each page. They called it discipline, I continued. They said it builds character. They said all Morrison children go through this. My God, if Oliver inherits money from them, a judge might decide that the financial benefit outweighs the risk of continued contact. But if there's no money involved, if Oliver has no legal ties to them at all, then I can protect him completely. The lawyer was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "What do you want me to do?" "Change the will. Give Oliver's inheritance to charity. Make it clear that he's been disinherited due to his mother's interference with family discipline. Make them think I'm just a vindictive ex-daughter-in-law who cost them their grandchild. And the real reason? The real reason stays between us." The new will was finalized within a week. Diane signed it without reading the details. She trusted her lawyer implicitly, and I'd made sure my changes looked like minor administrative updates. Then I filed for divorce. Marcus was served papers on a Thursday. He called me 17 times before I finally answered. "What the hell is this, Stella?" "It's exactly what it looks like. You can't just take Oliver away from his family. Watch me. My mother set up a trust fund for him. You're throwing away $2 million. I smiled, even though he couldn't see it. "Actually, Marcus, you should probably check with your mother about that trust fund." There was a long pause. "What do you mean?" "I mean Oliver isn't inheriting anything from your family. Ever. That's impossible. I saw the papers. You saw the old papers. Things change." Marcus hung up. Within an hour, I got a call from Diane. "You poisonous little bitch," she hissed. "What did you do?" I protected my son. You manipulated my lawyer. You stole Oliver's inheritance. I removed a child from an abusive situation. The money was just collateral damage. We gave that boy everything. Everything. A beautiful home, proper guidance, family traditions. You locked him in a basement. We taught him respect. You taught him to be afraid of you. Mission accomplished. Diane's voice turned cold. You think you've won something, don't you? You think you can just walk away with our grandchild and our money. Your grandchild, yes. Your money, no. I don't want your money, Diane. I never did. Then why? Because as long as Oliver had financial ties to your family, you'd never leave us alone. You'd use that trust fund as justification for visitation rights, for staying in his life, for continuing to traumatize him with your discipline. I could hear her breathing heavily on the other end. But now there's no money involved, I continued. No inheritance, no trust fund, no financial incentive for a judge to force Oliver to maintain contact with abusive relatives. There's just a little boy who needs to be protected from people who think locking children in basements builds character. You calculated this, she said slowly. You planned this whole thing. I documented it. There's a difference. The police will be very interested in the medical records from Oliver's hospital visit, the photos of his condition, the social worker's report, my 8 years of documentation showing a pattern of emotional abuse. Diane was quiet. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to stay away from Oliver. Permanently. No calls, no visits, no birthday cards. You're going to let Marcus have supervised visitation if he wants it, but only if he agrees to keep Oliver away from you and Bethany. And if we don't, then I release everything to the police, child services, and the society reporters who covered Oliver's trust fund announcement. Let's see how the Morrison family reputation handles headlines about child abuse and basement torture. You're bluffing. Try me. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. Marcus got supervised visitation every other weekend, but only at neutral locations. Never at Diane's house. Never around his mother or sister. Oliver started therapy. Slowly, gradually, he began to understand that what happened to him wasn't normal. That families don't lock children in basements. That birthday parties should be happy occasions, not opportunities for punishment. He still has nightmares sometimes. Still apologizes for things that don't require apologies. Still flinches when adults raise their voices. But he's getting better. Last month, he asked if we could have a birthday party this year. Just a small one, he said. At our house, with the doors unlocked. I said yes. We invited his friends from school, ordered pizza, played games in our living room. Oliver laughed until his sides hurt. He opened presents without asking permission first. He ate 2 pieces of cake and didn't apologize for being greedy. It was everything a child's birthday party should be. After the guests left, Oliver and I were cleaning up when he asked, "Mom, why don't I have a college fund anymore?" I'd been dreading this question for months. What do you mean? Jeremy's mom asked if Grandma Diane was still paying for my college. I told her I didn't know. I sat down beside him on the couch. Would you rather have $2 million for college or never see Grandma Diane again? Oliver thought about this seriously. Never see Grandma Diane. That's what I thought. Don't worry about college, baby. We'll figure it out together. He smiled. Good. I didn't want her money anyway. It felt scary. Smart kid. Marcus remarried last year. His new wife seems nice enough, though I notice she doesn't bring her children to family gatherings at Diane's house. Some people learn from other people's mistakes. Diane sends me a Christmas card every year with a photo of her and Bethany's twins. No message, just the photo. I throw them away unopened now. Oliver is 10 now. He's funny, creative, resilient. He wants to be a veterinarian when he grows up because animals don't lock other animals in basements for being themselves. He's right. People ask me if I regret giving up $2 million. If I think Oliver will resent me when he's older for costing him his inheritance. But here's the thing about blood money. It always comes with strings attached. And sometimes those strings are nooses. I chose my son's mental health over his trust fund. I chose his safety over his inheritance. I chose protecting him from abusive people over preserving his relationship with wealthy relatives. And I'd make the same choice 1,000 times over. Because no amount of money is worth watching your child learn to be afraid of love. No inheritance is worth teaching a child that family means suffering in silence. The Morrison family wanted to build Oliver's character through cruelty. Instead, they built his mother's resolve. And that's worth more than all their old money combined. So, did I go too far? Or not far enough? You tell me. Because when someone locks your child in a basement, the only acceptable response is making sure they never get the chance to do it again. To anyone.